What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday night. This is this has been a wild day, a crazy day, and this is day 6 of the 14 days in a row challenge, and I knew I needed to do something today. But in light of everything that's happened, it felt weird to, try to jump on here and be fun and silly and talk about social media and just with everything that's going on. I was sitting at lunch with a really dear friend of mine, and we were watching, the protests begin to take place on the Capitol, and we just started into this conversation just about like what has happened in our country. What is 2020 done to people to just cause the craziness that we've watched play out for the last 10 months. And we had that conversation, and then this morning, actually, one of my really good friends called me, and he said, "Bro, I called you just to pray for you." And I was just so blown away by it. And he FaceTimed me, and we prayed, and he prayed for my family, he prayed for my wife, he prayed for my kids, he prayed for my business, he prayed for my influence, he prayed for the people that God has put in front of me to have an impact on. And we were talking about this, right? This word is what came to the forefront of our conversation. What happened to our compassion? What happened? Where did it go? Maybe there was just a lot of people that maybe just never had it. But I feel like I've watched on social media over the last 10 months, people that I've genuinely loved and had relationship with just completely lose their compassion and completely choose to just scream their truth at people. And instead of truly looking and seeking to understand what people are going through that maybe aren't just like you. And so I put some thoughts. I've got my laptop with some notes on it, because tonight I just felt was going to be one of those nights that I couldn't just wing it like I like to do, because it's just so important. And so I wanted to ask you guys a few questions before I jump in. And if y'all got any comments, man, put them on here. What's up, Jared Ty? I'm proud to call you friend as well. Hey, Candace. Here's the questions that I thought about. Number one, where's our compassion gone? Just period. Where's it gone? The second question I thought about is, when did we lose the ability to disagree on a subject without making it personal? Right? When did we lose the ability to vote for the opposite person, yet still be friends? Right? At what point did that stop being allowed to happen? Because I felt like it used to be that way, and now all of a sudden it's different. Another question that I thought about is, why do we feel the need to force our opinion on others? Why do we feel like we've been appointed as the so-called truth police? And we've got to now, it's like our priority, it's our job to go around telling people when they're wrong, when we disagree, when the reality is it's okay, right? We don't have to agree on everything to still coexist and have a relationship in this world. And so that's an interesting question to me. And then the last question that I had was this: why is it so hard to love people that are different than us? Why is it so hard? Right? I've been watching social media today is people have said things like, could you imagine if all of those people storming the Capitol were black? Like, how different would the outcome have been? And it's questions like that get me thinking, and get me to start really wondering, like, how different would it have been? Would it have been different? Would it have been the same? I don't know. It's a great question, but I think at the core of everything, we have to decide personally to come to a place of compassion. Right? I'll never forget back in May when George Floyd was murdered in the streets, and what that caused to happen. And I started watching as so many of my white friends began to just give their opinions all over social media. And it was interesting to me that for many, they went straight to their own opinion as opposed to seeking to ask questions of other people. And I remember in the weeks following that horrific incident, I remember calling all of my friends who are black and just asking them, like, how are you doing? Like, this is what I'm watching the news say. This is what I'm seeing on Twitter. Like, what has your experience been? What are you hearing out there that you believe is true? And what do you hear as propaganda? Like, I'm a white dude from the suburbs. And so my initial thought was, why should I have an opinion about something that I have never experienced? But that's become the world that we live in, right? That we all just feel entitled to spew our opinion at people, regardless of the consequences, regardless of if there's any intelligence backing up that opinion, right? We've lost compassion. We've lost the ability to see a hurting person and default to, how can I help them? How can I fix this situation? How can I listen? What questions can I ask to develop more understanding before I'm just so quick to point the finger and judge or assume based on what I think to be true? It comes back to compassion. And so what I did is I looked up, like, I want to know, like, what does the dictionary say compassion is? The dictionary says compassion is sympathetic pity and concern for the suffering or misfortunes of others. You know what I hate? And I gotta be honest, I've struggled with this in the past. And my wife, who is a way better human than me, has helped me grow immensely in so many areas in my life. And one of those areas is just in empathy and having sympathy for people and expressing compassion. And it got me thinking about, like, what fights against compassion. If you struggle, hey mom, thanks for watching. If you struggle with this, right? We all struggle at times. But if you struggle with this, right, here's what I believe fights against compassion. Number one is selfishness. When we choose to put our own concerns above everyone else, we lose the ability to be compassionate. We completely lose it. And I want to talk about this. And again, this is not political, right? I know that it's been painted to be this way, but I promise you, I'm not a political person. What I'm about to say is not political. But here's what's really, really ticked me off in the last 10 months is the craziness that has been masks. And I know Lana can hear me in the other room, and she's probably going crazy that I'm even talking about this. But here's what I thought about the other day. Imagine pre-pandemic, right? Imagine before any of this was even real, that you went to the hospital to visit your aunt. And you were walking in and a nurse stopped you and said, ma'am, sir, this floor is full of people who have incredibly bad immune systems. They're very weak right now. We'd like for you to wear a mask when you're on this floor. Every human on the planet would go, oh my gosh, of course. Oh my gosh, of course I will. Right? Like what if something I had in me that I didn't know was even there caused someone else to grow sick and potentially die? Of course I'll wear a mask, right? But then all of a sudden it got politicized. And again, it doesn't matter to me what side of the political equation you're on. Here is how I live my life, where I choose to be full of compassion. And you can agree or disagree with me, and that's totally okay. And I love it, right? I love that we can all have our own opinions. Let's just choose to love each other, even if they're not the same. But here's my thoughts. What if a year from now, we get all this medical research back, and it comes back that, oh, we knew it. Masks are stupid. Masks are dumb. Masks don't work. Masks do nothing. See, told you so. Guys, that doesn't change the fact that I chose to wear one out of compassion for other people. I didn't wear one as a political statement. I didn't wear one to spite someone. I did not wear one because it's all about my freedom. Yeah, right. No, I wore one because someone smarter than me told me to. Someone more educated on the subject of disease control asked me to. And out of my personal compassion, I do it. Do I like it? No, I hate it. Is it fun? No, it's terrible. But to me, it's about compassion. It's not about red or blue. It's not about taking a stance. It's not about someone trying to take my freedoms away. I want to one day look back on my life and see all the different opportunities that I had to play a role in helping people, and I chose the right side. And what is the right side? The right side is the compassionate side. The right side isn't the red or blue side. The right side is the compassionate side. The right side is the side that says, I love people. But when selfishness stands in our way, we can't get there. So selfishness stands in the way of compassion. Something else that stands in the way of compassion is our arrogance and pride. Guys, it's blown my mind during this pandemic about all these armchair quarterbacks that want to call a doctor that has represented, 6 presidents? An idiot, right? A man that has committed his whole life to disease and infection control and pandemics and helping people, that all of a sudden he's an idiot. And again, right, I'm not a doctor, but I got to at some point trust people that I know are positioned in different places from me. And I choose compassion, right? I choose compassion. But when my arrogance and pride gets in the way, I can't go to the compassionate side. And so this is why it's hard for people when we watch people struggle, when we watch addicts, when we watch people that are always in and out of jobs. We can easily find ourselves in the place of, man, you don't know how hard I had it. So why should it be any easier for you? Right? Why should you be given something when I was never given something? We lack compassion, right? We think that because you haven't lived my life, then why do you deserve better? And why have we allowed ourselves to get to a place of what we think people do and don't deserve? Because here's what I believe. I believe that there is a God in this universe that sent his son, Jesus, to die for me, because without him, I would have complete and eternal separation from God. Why? Because I am jacked up. And so I've already been supplied with more than I could ever deserve. And so have many of you. And so we've got to figure out which something on this list has allowed us to begin to lose our compassion. Because the next thing that I believe fights compassion is callousness. If we're not careful, we'll just grow calloused. I remember when I used to be a pastor, a boss of mine, would walk us around the building, and he would identify trash on the floor. And he would say, guys, you know what happens the way our brains work is if you walk past that trash 7 times and never pick it up, your brain will begin to not even see it anymore. And guys, I believe in our country, we've grown calloused. We've grown callous to different leaders. We've grown callous to different ideologies and thoughts. And we don't even realize the poison that at different times in our lives we've allowed into our bodies because we've grown calloused. And when we're calloused, we can't feel compassion because those rough edges don't allow us to feel the soft touch that I believe compassion represents. Right? And another thing is hard-heartedness. Or for some people, you may have just allowed your heart to grow hard. Right? You may have just allowed yourself to just view different groups of people as the enemy. Right? We've done this in politics. If you're red, the enemy's blue. If you're blue, the enemy's red. And you're either for me or you're against me. Right? We can't have any disagreement but still love each other. It has to be the extreme. But it doesn't. We can choose compassion. Right? We can choose that. There's millions and millions and millions of people that chose not to storm the Capitol today. Because even though they didn't agree with the election, they still chose to be okay with it and move on with their life. Right? We all have the ability to make better decisions. But we can't when some of these things are standing in our way. The last thing that I think fights compassion, and I think this is the most dangerous one, is when we stop seeking to understand. I think we've become fearful and afraid of understanding. Because I think it's easier to just build walls up and to just say, you look different than me, you think differently than me, you were raised differently than me. So it's easier to just build up a wall than to seek to understand, than to seek to find similarity, than to seek to find where we may align. And so when we stop seeking to understand, we lose our ability to show compassion. And so I want to give you a couple last things, and then I'm gonna be off. And man, this is the most preaching that I've done in 2 years, and so this is weird for me. And for some of you that are new to following me, you might be like, "What is happening right now? Who is this guy? I thought you were the fun social media guy. Now you're not, right? I don't like this Kyle as much." But when I was talking to my buddy this morning that called to just pray for me, what's up, Dane? I love you, bro. We started talking about the single greatest moment in history where it would have been deserving for someone to not show compassion. And we talked about the story of Jesus hanging on the cross, right? And we talked about how not only was he hung on the cross, but before that, he had to drag the cross through a city while he was being spit on and thrown at and cursed, right? And then not only did they hang him on this cross, not only did they drive nails through his wrists and through his feet, not only did they put a crown of thorns on his head, not only to bring physical pain, but to mock him, right? Because he was the self-proclaimed king of the Jews. And so it was a crown of thorns. And then not only that, but then they were whipping him. And then they took a spear and jabbed it through his side. And they sat there and they gambled for his clothing. And yet, what does Jesus do? In his final words, he says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Wouldn't that just been a perfect moment for Jesus to be like, "Screw this, guys. I'm out. Like, this is crazy. I'm the Son of God. I don't have to take this. Like, I can easily snap my fingers and go back to heaven." He could have, but he didn't. And in his most painful moment, in the moment that he felt his father leave him, why? Because in that moment, all of our sin was put on him. He chose compassion. He chose compassion. And then one of my favorite verses, which is my dad's life verse, is Philippians 2:5, which talks about have the attitude that Jesus had. Right? It's an unbelievable scripture. And then think about this. In Luke, right, in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verse 33, this is what it says. It says, and if you do good only to those who do good to you, why should you get credit? Even sinners do that much. And guys, I believe that this is the ultimate issue that we are up against in our country, is that we have created a society that says, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. If you're like me, I'll be nice to you. If you do what I want, I'll be nice to you. And it is all about me. It's all about me, right? Everybody is all about me. And people can talk about it and they can say that that's not true, but look at our actions. And it is very evident who is experiencing compassion and who is not. And so, as I wrap this up, I'm a true pastor, right? I told you I was wrapping this up 3 minutes ago, and now I'm telling you I'm wrapping it up for real. I asked myself the question, if I'm struggling with compassion, for someone struggling with compassion, how do we get it back? And I thought of 4 things. Number 1, the first thing I thought about, if you're taking notes, which I'm sure all of you are, model those that have it. Model those that have it. Think of the friend that told you a story about who they forgave, and your thought was, wait, what? Wait, they did what to you and you forgave them? Why would you do that? Go rub shoulders with those people. Go rub shoulders that you watch extend grace upon grace upon grace, because they'll rub off on you. Number 2 is get to the root of why you lack it. Do a little backtracking and try to figure out, like, was there a time when you were compassionate? What changed? What event took place in your life that maybe calloused you a little bit? What event took place in your life that maybe darkened your heart and made you a little bit colder to people? Go back to that event and man, you can change it, right? You can look back and then you can propel yourself forward in a completely different light. The third thing is surround yourself with people that are different than you. Surround yourself with people that are different than you. You want to grow in your compassion. Give yourself more opportunities to be compassionate. Give yourself more opportunities to have to seek understanding, because it doesn't make sense, right? Because how easy is it for us to go, bro, get over it. Girl, get over it. Yeah. You had a bad home life. Get over it. How easy is it to do that? Right? How easy is it for people to do that? How easy is it for me to have done that? Instead of seek compassion. So get around people that aren't like you, because guys, I will tell you this. Having as many black friends as I have, compared to different points in my life where I was probably surrounded by way too many white people, it helped me view racism different, because I don't experience it for myself. Right? Like I don't have people look at me different because of the color of my skin. I've never been spoke differently to because of the color of my skin. I've never had a cop get weird with me because of the color of my skin. And so how can I ever understand what a minority has ever been through if I can't go be friends and do life with those people in order to understand? Right? So surround yourself with people different than you. My Lana says I'm giving her anxiety right now. I'm almost done. And then, guys, the last thing is this. Ask questions before you point fingers. Ask questions before you point fingers. Why are we so quick to assume that we're right? Why am I so quick to assume that my worldview is better? Why am I so quick to assume that my upbringing was the right upbringing? Why am I so quick to assume that my college was right, that my professor was right, that my politician was right? Why are we so quick to point fingers before we ever ask any questions? And so, guys, this is my final tip. This is what I try to do in my life every day. I try to live my life assuming the best in everyone. Which means if I get cut off in traffic tomorrow, I'm going to assume that they need to be somewhere faster than me. If I have a client that calls me and wants to cuss me out, I'm going to assume that something was going on in their life that was way worse than what I'm experiencing, and I'm just on the receiving end of their frustration. I assume the best in people, and it allows me to grow in compassion. And so I don't know if this has helped anybody. I don't know what anyone thinks of me at this point. All I know is Lana has extreme anxiety in our bedroom, as she's heard me talk this whole time. But I just want everyone that watches this to know I am for you. Whether we look the same, act the same, believe the same, voted the same, raise our children the same, I am for you. And I hope you'll be for other people as well. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for a much more lighthearted day 7 of the 14-day video challenge. See you guys.